Hey everyone, we're here today to do an install on a Medieval Manus remake, and it's the topper, the RGB light kit, and also the DMD back panel, the extended DMD back panel for Medieval Manus remake. So right here we're looking at the topper that was going to be installed on the game, or is going to be installed on the game. And there's different variations of how you could buy this kit. You could just buy like one piece at a time, or as my friend Ed did, he bought all 3 pieces to upgrade the entire game to make it somewhat, I guess, as a royal edition of the game, which is, you know, with all the upgrades and stuff like that. So this kit with the topper, that every part of this game now that you purchase comes with a user manual, which is here. It comes with all these different peripherals or parts that make these things operate, like some wiring. There's a PCB board here for this. It comes with a micro SD card, and the manual is actually really nice the way it's kind of done. Just so we could kind of take a look. There might be a glare from the light a bit, but basically it's all gloss color. And it kind of goes through in detail all the different parts of what you need to do the installation in the game. It's done really well. Color pictures throughout the whole manual, you know, stuff like that. So it looks really good. Meaning the manual, they did a really nice job on that. It comes with some templates that come to, so you got to drill into the game actually in different parts. It seems like with this topper, you have to drill into the back box. So some templates are provided from Chicago Gaming or Planetary for the installations of the different things in the game as well. They also comes with a hole drill bit here. So you have to drill a hole in the back of your back box, the top of it, to run the wiring down from the topper. And from what the manual and from what we read on Pinside is, don't follow the template for that because the wiring's too short or something like that. So we'll have to kind of figure that out of where we need to place this topper and kind of put the proper drill hole on the top of the game. So let's take a detailed shot here of this topper. Once we get it installed, we'll do an action shot and a video of that. But for now, let's just take a nice detailed video of this and just kind of look around and see how it looks. Okay, here's a zoomed in version of this topper. And as we can see, we have the 2 trolls. And I think this, as a footnote on this, I believe this was designed by Chris Franchi from, who designed Stern, Batman 66, Monsters, Guardians. I think that's it. So he designed this for Chicago Gaming and stuff like that. So we have the 2 trolls on both sides here, like it is on the back box translate of Medieval Manus. We have the King of Payne, I guess, in the middle over there, holding a bird, or falcon, whatever that is. And I believe these are all LEDs that light up, you know, as the game plays, as it is in Monster Bash and stuff like that with that topper. Pretty nice, pretty detailed. There's some wiring on the back of that, you know, that we have to kind of run through the back box, like we said, through the top, where we drill the hole. So once we install that, then we'll take a look at it in action and see how everything works on the topper. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we are now with the next set of hardware that we're going to install. And basically we have the DMD panel, which is the extended screen for this, and down here is where like the Williams or Chicago Gaming would say, or whatever you want to change it to. So you have your speakers here. Your DMD display would be in this bigger panel than what comes on the Medieval Madness if you bought it like on the first run. And also too, on this upgrade kit for the DMD panel, it comes with a subwoofer. So that has to go in the bottom of the cabinet. So you have to drill new holes, new pilot holes for that to screw into. Comes with a new grill. Again, a nice manual color gloss. Screws for the mount. There's cabling that goes with that panel. It's the speaker adapter cable it comes with. And I believe there's another cable possibly that comes with that, or that just goes off the old cabling that's inside the game. We'll kind of get to that when we start the install. But that's pretty much it. This seems like this kit's fairly easy to install. The only problem is, from what we read online, is that trying to get the old speaker out to get the glue off the bottom of the subwoofer already in the game is a bit of a challenge. But we'll just take a chisel or a scraper or something like that and see how cleanly we could get the old one out. So let's do this install. And there's one more part to this kit, and it's the GI lighting that goes around the game. That looks a bit complicated, and I believe there's an upper, there's a panel that goes in the back by where the glass goes into the back of the playfield. There's an under lighting kit that also gets installed back there. So we're going to take a look at that too. It's like a bar of some sort. So let's look at that next. Okay, so the last piece to this kit, of this 3-piece kit that is going to be installed on this Medieval Madness, is the general illumination lighting. So I believe these are all LEDs now. So if you look at this table to the left over here, so we have the lighting, which is here in these bags. So these are different strings on the actual playfield, on the bottom of your playfield. So if you look at the manual on the back, there's a before screen of like where the GI goes, and then it gives you an after diagram of where everything should kind of go, indicating on the back of the manual compared to the bottom of the playfield. So basically this kit consists of there is a back panel RGB assembly, which is here. There's also another micro SD card, I think, with the update of the latest operating system to the game. There's another board, which is the PCB topper board, but I think if you get this in another kit, like say you buy the topper or you buy the DMD panel, this board already comes with that. So again, they supply this board if you're only going to buy one of the pieces instead of buying all three at one time like my friend Ed did. And there's some templates that come with this one as well. There's another, there's, I guess, 2 different designs were with the game when it was created. So maybe the older version has a type 1, like the first, maybe like Ed's machine, since it was an early release of the game when he bought it. He has a type 1 template, so he's going to probably maybe have to use this one instead of the type 2. So we'll have to look at that, but I would think that's kind of how it goes. And on this table here on the left, we have some cables. We have a topper power cable with a communication cable. It looks like a splitter of some sort that everything kind of plugs into. That might already be in another kit. I'm not sure. I would have to look. But again, if you bought only one of these pieces, you might not get that if, you know, or they want to kind of give it to you again, I should say, if you're going to buy it as each kit. So he bought 3 pieces at one time. So that might be a duplicate of that cable in another kit. So that's kind of how this all goes. So there's a lot of cabling over here that I'm looking at, you know, with this big wire harness here, and also all these LEDs that we're going to have to put in the game. So I believe like all these things kind of plug into off of that cable of some sort, and it's somewhere into the back box or the bottom of the playfield. We really didn't look at the manual too well, but again, another manual as I showed in all the other ones, colored, nicely done, pretty detailed. nice gloss and sheen to the thing. It's not like it's printed on a piece of printer paper and it's just put in a box. So again, they did a nice presentation with this these kits as well. So we're going to go now and start the install. I think we're going to start doing the subwoofer first. Take the old one out, and then we're going to install the new subwoofer, and we're going to have to drill new pilot holes into the bottom of the cabinet with the templates that are provided, and we're going to see how everything works. And again, we're going to use like a scraper or a chisel to try to get that subwoofer out. So let's start there and then progress on as we go along. Stay tuned. Okay, so here we are, step one at removing the speaker to install the new speaker, subwoofer, I should say, at the bottom of the cabinet here. So what we did to get this subwoofer started and taken out of the cabinet is we removed the shaker motor that was here. It's held down by 4 Phillips head screws, so we removed that just to make it easier. Again, it takes you 5 minutes, if that, to take it out, so I would definitely highly recommend that. We snipped the 2 wires off the actual subwoofer that was here on these 2 leads right here. So for us, what we did was to get this subwoofer started is we took a mallet here and a scraper, a paint scraper, a big one like that. So what we did was we went underneath the actual piece of wood block here and just hit it with a mallet, you know, like this, as you would hit it, and then we just pried it, got under it far enough, and just started to lift. Lift very slowly. You don't want to wreck your cabinet. You could actually maybe start planking the wood down here if you really start being aggressive or digging too much into that wood. So be careful of what you're doing. And then basically what we did then was actually started to get more farther back with the scraper to the actual wood that was here. Started to just lift on the scraper, pried it up, and just started to lift, and then just slowly took this off. And then that's what you have left. So this is the old subwoofer, and that's the new hole that you have created there, or I should say the old hole without your subwoofer. So what we're going to do now is take the new subwoofer that came with the kit, drill new template holes, and install the new subwoofer into the cabinet. And then we're going to have to just, you know, take these wires, scrape some wire off of it with a wire snipper, and basically just reattach it and solder it to the new subwoofer. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we are back at the cabinet after the subwoofer removal. So there's a template that was provided from Chicago Gaming or Planetary, and basically we just laid it on the cabinet, taped it on the top and bottom. So what we're going to do now is it comes with a drill bit with the kit. So we're going to use this drill bit, have a drill, and we're going to drill those holes out, and then take this subwoofer that Ed is holding now, and we're going to take the subwoofer and install it with the screws that are provided in the kit as well. So that's going to be next. So we have our drill. So we're going to use, again, the template that was provided with the kit. And again, we're just making pilot holes. We're not going all the way through the cabinet because there's no need to do that. Really, all you want to do is just get the tip of your screw to bite into the cabinet. And actually, which is smart, is the drill bit already has tape on it to prevent that from happening, from going all the way through your cabinet. So we have our 4 holes drilled, and then what we're going to do now is remove the template, take the subwoofer and lay it on that, And then we're going to take the screws that are provided in the kit and screw that down. Okay, so now we're just kind of positioning everything in place. So there's a grill that comes with this as well that you got to put on. So the grill goes on the bottom here, kind of like where you line up your holes. So we have our holes lined up now for the grill. Now we're going to take our subwoofer and lay it down. And again, we're going to position the wires on the subwoofer to the left of the cabinet, because that's where your other wires were. So that's that. So we're going to put in our first screw. Second screw. Third screw, and our last one. Okay, so that's screwed in now into the cabinet. And then what you need to do now is the wires that are on the speaker here, the subwoofer, you have to take that, and there's wires that are provided that still from the cabinet that you snipped earlier, and you have to attach those to this subwoofer. And then basically in the kit there's wire ties that come in with the kit, and basically you're going to use those wire ties to splice those two wires together. So that's what you have to do, you know, to get those two wires together. So we're going to do that next. Okay, so now we put everything back together again. As I mentioned before, we use the wire nuts, what was provided to. I stripped the wires, attached the two wires. They're color coded too, specifically to the other wires. I really don't think it matters. I'm not totally sure, but they are color coded, so I would match them up with the colors that, you know, the two wires are on there. We put our shaker motor back in. Takes again 5 minutes to take in and out. I would definitely highly recommend doing that. There's a connector here, a Molex connector. You have to connect it back in. We put our screws in here into the speaker, so this is back in. It's tightly, you know, in the cabinet. Put the grill in. So now we're done with underneath the playfield. So now we can lower the playfield and start on the top, and that goes with the GI lighting. Well, the GI lighting I would think that we have to do from underneath the playfield as well, but at least we have this lifted up. But we could do the DMD panel and then just do the GI lighting, and then we're going to do the topper last. So that's probably going to be the chain of events of how we do this install. So stay tuned for the next install. And it's probably going to be, I would say, the DMD panel we're going to do next. Okay, so here we are at the back display panel here at the DMD board. So there's a couple things that need to be removed in order to take this out first. So what we're going to do is take off this HDMI cable here. This comes off. There's a connector here, a yellow and black connector here. This comes off. And basically we're going to take this off the board, but that whole display thing, which is up here, this whole board comes off, this button. So there's more buttons that you're not seeing the whole thing, but there's like 6 or 7 buttons on that thing, 6. But there's 2 screws that hold this panel in, this control panel. That comes completely out of the game according to the instructions. I guess the new display panel doesn't use that anymore. So, and then once this is out, yeah, so also too, Ed pointed out this green and purple, and this connector I guess comes off too. This might be to the speakers or something like that. And then once we're done with that, this whole panel kind of slides up, and there's notches like here. Let me just kind of turn the camera to that. So if you look where my finger is, there's a notch. There's 2 on each side. There's like a hole in here, and there's pins in the back of the panel. So you would slide it up to the pin, and you kind of just drop it down, and this whole panel like slides out like that. So that's the removal of the panel. So now what we're going to do is install the new one and connect these connectors back up to the new panel, and we're going to take that control panel out of the back box as well. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so now we have the panel in, and let's just go over really quickly what we did and what we changed and what we installed, stuff like that. So there's a splitter that comes in the package that attaches here. So there's a connector that comes off the back box. I put the splitter between this connector here and this connector here, and that seems like everything fit. So also here, this yellow and black connector here, that came off the back box to the connector that's on the thing. On my friend Ed's machine, it was a bit short, so we had to kind of snip it out of the wire loom to get the length we needed for the wire. So that seems like it's working now. So also on the old panel, we did not take off this splitter or gender changer here from a DVI to HDMI. So we had to go back and remove that from the old panel, put it on this box, and then we're able to attach our HDMI. So you have to use this gender changer here from DVI to HDMI. We also we put our ground on, the ground that's with this board, or panel, and we also took off the control panel, which is at the top right over there. You could still see the 2 screw holes, and Ed's going to hold it up, but we removed that according to the manual that came with the actual install. So that came off, and again, I think that's really it for this. And you need, according to the manual, you need that SD card that goes into the board in the bottom of the game for the colorization for this panel to work. We already have that installed. I actually have a video of the install we did on this particular game of that colorization for this game, of the install of how that processed and how that worked. So I think we're good now with this actual DMD display. So next what we're going to do is the GI lighting underneath the playfield. That's going to be the next install we're going to do. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we are at the GI lighting that we're installing now. So we have this PCB board up here that came with the kit. So the way that we did the wiring was that we also mounted this board a bit higher than what the template says to do for the wire length of the topper. We read online that some of the wiring wasn't long enough, so we raised this up a couple inches, or just higher than what the template indicates. This is a template 1 board because there's only 1 board in here. This small little board. This looks like some kind of like the board that operates. I think the newer board, Type 2, had a longer board that went here. I think like a Monster Batch and stuff like that has it. So how this actually works is that there was a RJ45. The blue cable went here into this board. So basically, we took out that blue cable, put in the red cable here that goes with this splitter up here, took the blue cable that was there, pulled it out of the wire harness and all that, stretched it to the splitter here, took this red RJ45 cable, put it to the top of this PCB board, and then replaced the blue one that was here with this red one at the bottom of that splitter. So that was kind of how we did it for this board so far to install it. And again, we raised this up a bit just so it had the right wire capabilities of reaching the topper and reaching everything else down here in the middle of the back box with the boards and all that. So we're going to go further, come back to this and see our further status of what we're doing as we kind of progress into the GI lighting. I think there's also, the next thing we need to do is in the back of the playfield there's the bar, the LED board or bar that goes back there that we're going to be doing next. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at the part where the back glass goes into, or the playfield glass goes into the trough, you know, the notch here. So basically, we just replaced that with, I guess there's an LED lighting kit under that. So how you take that out is if you go under that, there's screws that are in here. It was like 5 screws originally from the original piece that was in there. That's the original piece. And there's 5 screws that hold that in. So now if we go back to the new one that we just installed, there's only 3 screws that hold this in with a wire that comes out of it, out of the bottom. So we run that up back to the back box, and then the wire goes all the way to the top where Ed is pointing right now, at the far right corner of that new PCB board that we just installed before. So that's where that goes in. So it's pretty easy. It's got to pull out your playfield, you know, just kind of notch it out like that. You know, just give it some gap in here. Get to those screws underneath. I think it's like a 1/2 inch, you know, driver set or whatever that those screws are. And that's how we took that out with the 5 screws. And again, you just need to add 3 on there and then run the wire back up to the PCB board to the far right at the bottom where Ed is pointing. And that's how you install that. So now we're going to start with the GI lighting on the bottom of the playfield. Okay, so we just got done installing the GI lighting on the bottom side here of the game. So basically, let me just go through it really quickly of how we actually got it to work. It was kind of long and tedious to kind of like post the whole thing, so I'll kind of go through it quickly to maybe help somebody kind of get it going. So basically, if you look at these like lighting here, so there's different like numbers of areas on the bottom of the playfield. I think there's 4.
3 on each side.
Yeah, there's 3 on each side, so it's 6 altogether. So if you look here, so the first string would be like 1, 2, 3, and then I think there's another one somewhere hidden here. Yeah, there's another 4. So that's the first string. Yeah. So basically, this is like the first string that of the old lighting that I pulled out. So you can see the connector, it came off the board, but this was the old string, and then you put it in, you kind of match it up with the new string, and basically that's how you install the lighting. So you unscrew it, the old LEDs, like from here, and then just put in the new one, you know, the new string into the holes, and then that's it. And then I'll talk about the wiring after.
Unplug it from here.
Yeah, also too, like the old one was plugged into this pin connector right here, where our fingers are, and we had to unplug it from that, and that's the connector on this side. So that connector went into that pin we just showed you on the board, and again, I'll kind of tell you how you connect them all at the very end, like where you plug it into. So here's another string. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you look at the manual, the back of it, this kind of documents and maps it out for you. So this was the first string up on top in orange here on the left. So it's, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could see where the connector goes. It goes at the bottom of, not at the top. So it shows up with this little like square. So indicate that. Make sure when you're doing it, you know where the connector is supposed to go, at the bottom or the top. That's the first thing you should be looking at, because this big green cable here is the cable at the very end of what you're going to connect all those wires into, the 6 strings into this big wire that runs into the back box. So at the very end, you got to make sure that these all meet up. So again, here's the second string down here on the left. It's in blue. So the top goes, the connector goes at the top for this, you know, the big wire at the very end, and then it's like the blue wire, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just follow this documentation in these strings, and that kind of tells you how everything lays out in the LEDs. It's tedious, but it's not very hard, if that makes sense. And then again, this big long cable all plugs into the connectors of each string, and then the cable at the very end, the connector, goes back to the back box, and I'll show you at the end where that goes. So on the right hand side, strings 2 and 3, basically they all kind of the old GI goes into this like block here, and basically they get wired into here. I guess it's basically like a splitter in a way. You need to cut the wires off of that block, and then basically that's how it works. And then at the end, the new GI would plug into this big long cable that you connect into. So this is just discarded. This, you could throw this out when you're done.
Well, the pop bumpers are connected to that.
Yeah, the pop bumpers, actually, Ed made a good point. The pop bumpers are also connected to this. And how the pop bumpers get wired up now is that if you look down here at the wiring of the pop bumpers, you have like wire ties here, or like wire connectors, or things you twist on, or whatever you call them, wire twist things or whatever. So anyway, how they go is that there's white wires and gray wires that come off of the like wire connectors, I guess. So basically there's 3 white wires that come off of here, and there's 3 gray wires that come off the pop bumpers. So there's a splitter that comes out, that comes with this, you know, this package, and the 3 white wires from these pop bumpers connect to that 1 white wire, and the 3 gray wires connect to the 1 gray wire on that splitter in a way. And then that splitter connects to, if we could see it up here, right here where my finger is, that all connects into that at the very end. So again, all 3 pop bumper wires for the white and all 3 gray wires for the gray all split into that connector, and that's where it gets plugged into in the end. It's like, I forgot the pin or the connector number on the board of where that goes, but that's where that goes at the end. So, and again, for Chicago Gaming or whoever kind of produces this, the wires for the white wire for this pop bumper here and the gray wire, it's too short. So we had to attach another wire to that to lengthen that wire. So that might be something that needs to be looked at. Well, I don't really know what you could do to fix it, to tell you the truth. Like, even with the package, you're going to probably have to add wire to that to make that longer. So all 3 of those white and gray wires all connect together. So that's kind of how we did it. I just put some heat shrink on it and just kind of connected the wires to that, and it works. So that's good. So let's look at the back box if we can, and because now that long cable we were talking about, how everything connects into, runs into the back box. So yeah, it's like this blue, green, orange cable right down here. So that's going into the back box, and we'll look at that now. So it's under the playfield. So basically, where that long cable goes into is right up here on this top board, and that's where it goes to connect all your GI lighting and stuff like that. So then the power also for this gets split to power this board up on top here, gets split with this connector. So this connector, yellow and black here, goes into this. There's a splitter on it, and then the yellow and black wire goes into the bottom of that board over here. So that's how this board gets power. So now also I think the topper gets plugged into a lot of these connectors up here. I'm not sure we're going to do that next, but from what I'm looking at, that's what I could see. We're kind of doing this on the fly. Like, I mean, we read the manual, but you're really going to figure it out as you're going along, as we did. So again, all the connectors, there's like 4 different connectors on that topper. And again, they all connect off that board somewhere. So we're going to do that next. We got to drill holes in the head of the cabinet and kind of mount the topper. But then again, we drop them down, and then we're going to connect all the wiring into that. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so here we are looking at the top of the back box. So I drilled my hole here with the hole saw that came with the kit. Did a nice round hole, pretty even, you know, no crookedness or nothing like that. And I also drilled my pilot holes here for the screws for the topper on all 4 sides of the topper, or the head over here. There's a hole here, and there's 2 on that side as well. So then you have to go underneath the head. Yeah. And then if you look down there, there's the bottom of, like, the screws kind of screw into those things. So you got to like put them in there and then hammer them in the 4 corners of the T-nuts of where they go in the bottom of the head. And also too, there's a template that went on the top. That this is what I used in order to drill my holes, and the hole saw hole here, you know, for the screws for the topper, and the hole saw for the hole for where the wires go down. And if you look under here, the problem that we kind of experienced is there's in that corner here, I took it off already, but there's a knocker that goes up there, and there's a plate that goes on there, and we're gonna have to shift that plate over, because where this T-nut on the bottom goes, it goes right into the plate of that knocker. So we're gonna have to move that over a bit and get that to fit so we could screw the topper in there. But we would have an issue with the topper, the knocker of where it was positioned earlier on. So we're gonna move that over, re-screw it back in, and everything should be good to go. So let's kind of continue on, and I'm gonna install the topper and show you how to wire it. Okay, so now the topper's installed. It's screwed down, everything's ready to go. So the connectors over here, if you look at it, these are, I think, RGB connectors on the left and right over there. So the cables go into that, and then there's another cable that goes into this one, this Molex connector. And I think this connector here is to the topper. Yep. On, yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Says right on it.
Yep. So that that connector goes to the topper, and these 3 up on top go to the topper as well. The 3 connections. So it looks good, everything is working. So let's do a quick overview. Yeah, and there's a ground wire too that you got to put on here, and that runs to the bottom of the play field, and there's a board on there, and the ground connects to the rest of that board as well. So also too, with this knocker, just to get back to that, so we put the plate back where it was because it rests right on the screw. So you have to take it off when you're drilling your holes and all that, but after that, you could put it back to the place of where it was. So you should be good and not have to move it over or anything or relocate it. So let's take a look at the game, look at the topper, and see how everything works. Turn. Okay, so here we are turning on the game to see how everything's going to work with the GI and the topper. And the speaker lights for some reason aren't working, but Ed is going to either post something on Pinside or give a call of why they're not working possibly. But
we couldn't update the code.
Yeah, in the code we got like an error, like at 81% or something like that, where it would give us this feedback of can't update. What was the full? error.
Number.
Yeah, I forgot the error, the full error. But as you can see now, like the GI is flashing different colors. It's turning blue. You know, before they were only white. It's green. So you know you're getting the full GI experience, like Monster Bash or Attack from Mars, stuff like that. So now Medieval Manus has it with these new things. And then also too, if you look at the back by like where the glass would go in at the very back, there's a light kit or a light bar behind there. And if you scroll up here to the very top of the game, that's where the topper is. So that's also illuminating different colors as well with GI kind of lighting and stuff like that. So it looks really good. I think Chris Franchi actually did the artwork. I think I said that before as well. But that's looking really good too, just the way everything kind of lights up. So the game really came together. Yeah, there's a lot of... It's now like 2:30 or 3 o'clock, so it took quite a while to kind of do all these updates and stuff in the game to get everything installed and ready to go. But it wasn't hard, but I think it's an install for more of a novice, more to an expert as well, I think, in pinball repair and stuff like that, than just a beginner. There's a lot of different things, drilling and stuff like that people might not be comfortable with, so use your discretion and see how it goes. But it turned out really good. I think everything looks great on the game. The display is the larger display with the color graphics and stuff like that look really great as well. So so that's it. So yeah, so it took us quite a while, but we kind of stopped for a while as well. So it wasn't a full like 7 or 8 hours of install. We kind of took a break. So I would say it's at least a 3 or 4 hour install for everything. And that's kind of maybe on the low end.
Yeah, it's probably 5 hours.
Yeah, 5 hours full for everything. So that's the game. Hope you like it. Hope this installation kind of helps you, at least a visual way of kind of doing all the installs. So go to my website, www.pinballsupernova.com. I have my Facebook page, my blog, my YouTube, my Twitter. Everything is linked from there. So you know, I appreciate the subscriptions on YouTube. Really appreciate everybody who writes to me and stuff like that. So keep all the emails coming and the subscriptions coming as well. So again, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.